Hey YouTube, it's your girl Jamina Love back with another video. Welcome back, welcome back. How are you doing, my busy bee? Staying busy, I hope. Keeping it sexy. Always. Today is the 2nd of February. So I'm just going to tell you, I'm recording this on the 2nd of February. And I will be uploading it on the 5th of February. Because today is my uncle's birthday. And he's my eldest uncle. So my grandmother had 5 sons and 3 girls, and her eldest son was born February 2nd, and then she has another one that's born on the 3rd, which is like the 2nd or 3rd oldest, about a year apart, and then my grandmother's birthday is my great-grandmother's birthday is February 5th, which my grandmother adopted, and she has her birthday in June also, because we figured we needed 2-3 days by ourselves on our birthday. The reason it's so hard for me and why it sounds so daunting in my voice is because these people have left me here, They went home to the upper room. And my grandmother, and I just wanted to tell you guys about her, you want to know who Jo is and where she gets her spunk, I get it from my grandmother. And while I talk to you about her and this look that I'm doing in her honor and in my uncle's honor, because, they were the inspiration for me getting into makeup. They are very artistic people. My uncle cooked. He was a chef. My grandmother worked in the galley when she was younger, a galley is pretty much the soup kitchen of the Navy base or Army base where she had lived at the time. And she was the main organizer of the cold bar. And then as time went on, she started just taking over everything. Because they were just like, let her do it, Miss Susie can do it, she can do it. And so that's where I get a lot of my spunk from. It's my grandmother. I was raised in her house with my mother, and a lot of my uncles, they moved from place to place since my grandfather was in the Navy. They were always jumping around. So by the time I got to California, I was conceived, and they settled for the long haul in California. Instead of having to jump around, my grandfather decided to retire. And they bought their first house, and I was in that house until I moved here to where I'm at now. And the house still is there, it's still in their name, my grandfather's still living. There's a story I'm not going to get into about that, but my childhood home is still there. And my kids were conceived and brought into that home and stayed there for the majority of their young existence until early teenagehood, and then we moved up here, and then I had to date my youngest son. My grandmother was the party queen. If you had a party and you needed something done as far as your decorating, your cooking, and an organizer of the inside stuff, I don't know if she did any of she did party planning, but not like taking over, calling the guests and making the guest list and things like that. No, none of that had happened. She mostly did the cooking, the decorating in the house or the hall, because she worked at a community center when I was young until my adulthood. She worked at our city community center, and so she would take care of renting the hall and decorating the hall and having all that done. So that's something I did when I got old enough, about the age of, I want to say 8 or 9. I started doing my first parties, and I was really, really good at it. And she was like, wow. And I taught her some things, like how to cut corners on certain things, because everybody The one thing I can tell you about any black barbecue, right? What's the one thing that you guys, even if you're not black, you know this because you watched it on TV or heard it on somebody's comedy show, is who made the potato salad. Nobody, and I mean nobody, would touch the potato salad if my grandmother did not make the potato salad. So when they started making all these big parties and weddings and baby showers, honey, I was like, Mama, let me make the potato salad. Let me help you. You know, I was her sous chef for so many years. I was like, let me do it. Let me show you how I did your potato salad for such a party. And nobody could tell the difference. Because if she got sick and if she got tired, they didn't even acknowledge, you know, they, because we hid it. Just like I hide a lot of it. Like you guys see, I hide a lot of my pain and a lot of my anguish behind my makeup. Once it's on my face, you don't know if I'm in pain or if I'm hurting or nothing. So she hid that from her kids and from outside entities. Only I knew because I was living there. So I knew when she wasn't feeling good or she wasn't, you know, doing her best. And so I would say, that was very chalky right there, but I would say, let me do it, let me do it. No, I have to do it because they won't eat it if somebody else makes it. I said, I guarantee it, they will eat it, and they won't be the wiser. As long as you are the one seasoning it, or they see you over the bowl, they won't be the wiser. And she's like, okay, I'm going to trust you. And we tested it out one Sunday, because we used to cook for the church. My grandfather was a deacon. He still is a deacon of the church, that our family church. So even though he's at his age where he is now, where he is unable to fulfill his duties as a deacon because of, you know, of age. You know, my grandfather's 80 years old, but he's still as spunky as he is. But being a deacon, you have a lot of responsibilities. He had to coding and put things in the computer, like literally making bank statements and doing bank withdrawals and deposits for people's tithes, and it was a lot. And he had to teach me how to do it so that, just like the potato salad, he could get away with cutting some of that job out for himself, so I could make it a little easier on him. So we tested that Sunday. This Sunday came up, and I was so excited. I was like, yes, 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 we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And nobody's going to be the wiser. I swear, Grandma, don't worry about it. You're going to get grave reviews. Even, in fact, they're going to think that you put your foot in it this time. And that's what they started saying after that. Ooh, Miss Sue put her foot in this potato salad. Ooh, Lord, y'all know, y'all got to have some of Miss Sue's potato salad. And it became a whole thing. And so I pretty much tricked almost 250 people on a Sunday morning that my grandmother made this potato salad. But in fact, I made the potato salad, and she just seasoned it. That way it seems like she did put her love into it, because that's what cooking is all about. If you put your love and your soul and your precious, you know, that power of passion into it, your food, don't matter what your mood is, could taste a heck of a lot better. But if you are sick, if you are tired, if you are angry, if you are just like not feeling it, people can taste that too. And that's what I was making a point to her, that they could feel that. If she's not feeling up to it, let me do it. Let me help her out. And from then on out, for 20-something years, I made the potato salad. I have my uncles fooled. I have my aunts fooled. And to this day, even my mama's kind of still fooled. Because she's like, no, you didn't do that. Mama did that. No, I did it, honey. Just like the deviled eggs and all the other stuff, the fried chicken, I did that. Because I stood, as a very, very small child, I stood in the kitchen under my grandmother, and I learned everything that she did. And I learned everything that my uncle did. He worked at several restaurants, and he was a chef. And I absorbed everything they ever did, just so that when the time came, which it always comes, you know, you never know, but the time will come when you just can't anymore, and I would take over for them. Yes, ma'am. Now, I haven't talked to anybody in almost 8 years, but I assume they're all eating crow right now because nobody can have the potato salad. And that's just my inner jive of love. The reason I laugh about it because, you know, if you've ever watched Soul Food, you hear them talk about mama's potato salad. You hear them talking about mama's certain foods, collard greens, and, you don't mess with those dishes. If you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with them because, you can change the next generation's perspective of it and be like, ew, y'all ate that? This is gross. And it's only because, well, it's not exactly what my mom made because it's what I made. No. I have my grandma, all her recipes up here. I've been asked at several events, several funerals, several weddings. Please, 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 before you lose your mind, make a cookbook. Share those recipes with us. I said, oh yeah, sure. You can buy it off of Amazon when I'm ready. Because I'm not giving you squat for free. Not when it comes to those kind of recipes. Those kind of recipes can get you killed. Giving up old family secrets, they can get you killed. Um, it seems like a joke, but it's the honest truth when it comes to families and recipes and that sort. But my grandmother was always, always the most wanted, loved, and loyal person when it came to an event because they knew, you knew, I knew, we all knew we were getting ready to get our serious grub on with no hesitation, going home without any problems because we wanted, sorry, I have to reach over, we wanted that, you know, that love. That food, just for some reason, you got to get you a couple plates to take home, and if you missed the party, you missed it, I'm sorry, we ain't giving you a plate to go home with, because that's just the way it is, especially when at a church event, because I'm feeding 200 and something people that actually did show up, even though my grandfather was a deacon, which was, I swear, this was the part that really, really used to just, I didn't understand, but then I realized it after the fact, after I really was in the kitchen with my grandmother and also took over the kitchen when she got sick, was that it didn't matter that my grandfather, when you're a deacon, you only get a small amount of people that you're supposed to take care of. That's your church family. Um, the whole church is your family, but they call it your church family because that's the only, you get about 10, 12 people, and when they're sick, they're shut in, they're in the hospital or whatever, you go visit and you take them Bible studies and you take care of them if they need you. You help them financially if you need them. But when it came to them luncheons, boy, you guys, everybody wanted to be a part of our church family. So they would all just come and show up. And I would be like, honestly, we're supposed to be cooking for 30 people. But my grandma was like, 30 people? You know damn well that they were going to come. They're going to come. As soon as they find out it's your dinner, they're going to come. And they would. So instead of my grandfather being like, oh, I'm going to give you, because he was very tight. Now, that's one thing I had to tell y'all. He was very tight. And he lived in the era of make a penny go a long way. He had nickel, what you would call a nickel movie theater things and groceries. Like, he would tell us the stories, honey. Groceries would cost like a dime, and you can go to with a dime, you can go to the movies, get you some pop, some soda, you can get a full bag of groceries, and a ticket to the bus station or something like that. He would tell us this long, drawn-out things about money. And what is that? Oh, it came with a little glue, my lashes. It came with a little glue on the bottom, and I just dropped it out. I would be like, Daddy, you know that money and time has changed, right? And he would look at me like I was speaking Chinese, knowing that I never learned any other foreign language except for, Gagala and French, because that's all he taught me. I mean, that was the main thing when it came to my grandfather in music. Oh, his kids didn't, I don't think his kids even knew, and so they didn't get to experience. In his prime, he sang Me and Mrs. Jones in French for my grandmother and put it on a reel. And boy, when I learned that song, and I mean, I literally cannot lie to you guys about that. Like, those typical little things that you would see in certain, like, if you saw the Little Jackson 5 movie, that's a good one right there. Big example. And they would say, the kids are in bed. All the adults are up. They're all playing. The adults are doing whatever they're doing, Tupperware parties. Um, they would go wake us up and be like, baby, sing that song you sang the other day. Sing, my baby can sing. You should hear her sing this song. And you'll be sleeping. You're like, what song, Daddy? What are you talking about? And he was like, sing it. You know what song I'm talking about. You better sing that song. You know the song I taught you. And I'm like, okay. And then I would try to get it together, get my thoughts together, and he'll put the reel on, and we would sing it. And they would just be like, oh, look at y'all so cute and beautiful together. Look at that. It was just always something. And it was like the original song, I had the time of my life growing up with my grandparents. I really, really did. They treated me as I was their own child, not their grandchild. I don't even know the difference. And I worship the ground they walk on, and they're still on high next to God. He would always tell me, we come second to God, but, sometimes you got to put yourself first, but you will still come second to God, and then whatever the order is. And I would let him know, okay, I understand that. I didn't understand it. I just would say, okay, because, you don't want to argue with your elders, and you don't ever want to not pay attention to what they say. But now as an adult, I can, without a doubt, say I know exactly what he means. And I know exactly what they meant. And I'm so glad to have learned these lessons that I can pass down to my granddaughter. I'm a new grandmother, and I want her to be I call her best friend, because I want her to know that my grandmother was my best friend, and I want her to have that same experience. You'll hear me later on in this month mention my grandmother a lot more, because of the fact that she was such a big force in my life. And, a driving force. Who do you think told me what my good hair was? This is my good hair. And I have some other ones that are a little shorter, but she taught me what good hair was, and taught me how to take care of my good hair, and showed me how to love myself. She bought me my first MAC palette, took me by the hand to the store, and knew that I was, I love makeup, but at the time, nobody wore it, so nobody could teach me what I wanted to learn, so I would just make my own with, and she taught me that. She taught me how to make my own out of browning flour to make my foundation, mixing cornstarch and baby powder with Vaseline to make, mixed with other colors. Taught me how to boil down certain vegetable skins to get pigment to draw the color out of it, and then mixing those with other products. And at first she thought it was fun, and then I explained to her, there are makeup stores in the mall that I would love to visit, and she was like, well, let's go, you do such a good job with this. If you can do that, maybe they'll give you a job. Well, of course, back then, Mac's people were snitty buddies, so I couldn't get a job at Mac like I wanted. But she was always my cheerleader. If you believe it, you can do it. If you want to do it, then do it. Don't talk about it, be about it. And she was my driving force when I started my first YouTube channel. She was the main supporter of my channel as far as watching my videos, purchasing makeup for me. I was a new mother You know, at the time my son was about 4 or 5, and she would let him know, hey, mom's got to work for 2 hours a day. She's got to go in that room, because we had our office set up differently than it wasn't in our bedrooms. So we had an office in the back, and I would have to either 2 hours a day I work on just my YouTube videos, and other times of the day were set up for church and for, whatever I was supposed to be doing. I did 101. I had 100 hats. So whatever hat I was wearing that day, at that time, when I wasn't working and I wasn't going to school and I wasn't doing for myself, that's what I was doing, And I don't think that there's anybody in this world that can ever come close to the relationship that I have with my grandmother. I mean, there's friends, but she was more than a mother. She was more than a grandmother. She was more than my biggest fan, my cheerleader. I mean, she molded me to who I was. I was, before you guys met me, I'm not going to lie, I felt that I was a hot mess. I had nothing going for me. I had no education. I didn't want anything, typical teenage stuff. I always complained about my life being this or being that. And she's like, your life is what you want it to be. So if you don't want to be anything in life and you want to sit on your butt all day, then that's what you're going to do. But if you want to be like I was, you want to be a nurse, then go to nursing school. I'll show you. I'll take you there. Every day, she drove me to school. Every day, she taught me what. Every day, she would Q&A me on medical terminology. And because of my test anxiety, she made sure that she was there in the parking lot. So when I had my breaks, she'd be right there to make me feel so much better. And I just wanted to show you and tell you about her and express to you the love that I have for this woman. Even though she's gone, she is way far from ever going to be forgotten. And I love you, Mama. I love her so much. And I miss her more than anything. I miss my uncle. He was an asshole, but he was my asshole. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. Before I go any further and start crying, I'm going to get off this camera, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.